The Range Rover has been a car synonymous with luxury and high-end motoring for a long time now. And the previous generation car, well, that lasted for a good deal of time, but change must come to us all, and that's why we've got a brand new Range Rover. Now, it's designed to have that same genuine off-road capability as its predecessor, but really going the extra mile when it comes to luxury and refinement. So, can this latest generation of Range Rover improve on the levels of luxury that its predecessor offered, all while retaining that same sense of top-notch quality? That's what we're here today to find out. The overall look of the new Range Rover is definitely an evolution on that of its predecessor. Up the front, the two look pretty similar indeed, but it's around the back where the changes are more evident, with slim lights and a central black finishing piece, giving this car a distinctively, well, different look to the car it replaces. This particular car, finished in green with silver wheels, looks very classic, and we think it fits the overall feel of the Range Rover perfectly. The interior of the previous generation Range Rover definitely did well when it came to material quality, but it was lacking in the areas of technology. Now that is something that has been definitely addressed in this latest generation Range Rover. We've got JLR's latest PIV Pro system, and it's really smooth, really easy to access, and it's packed full of functions too. But thankfully we've got our own separate controls for the heating and ventilation and the heated seats too, so you don't have to delve into menus in order to get the temperature set just as you'd like it. Elsewhere we've got typical Range Rover elements such as big, comfortable and supportive seats and a very commanding view out of that square bonnet. This cream interior looks really smart on this particular car, and I also like the silver brightwork finishes, which helps to elevate the overall feel of the cabin. There's the same sense of high quality in the rear of the Range Rover as you get in the front. There are some really nice materials here with high quality leathers and woods and metals all combining to make a really pleasant place to be. In terms of spaciousness, I've got a decent amount of knee room and leg room, though it might not be as ample as you might expect for a car of this size, but foot space is excellent. And in this particular car, there is the optional executive seating package, which includes this fold-out central section, which, though it does fold out relatively slowly, has its own built-in screen, which gives you individual access to heating and ventilation and to climate controls and seat functions, which means that you don't have to trouble the driver for any of those certain different parameters. Plus, thankfully, having this option included doesn't stop the rear seats from being folded down, so you're not denting practicality by selecting this option box. Access to the Range Rover's boot is easy thanks to this power tailgate, and it's a split section design, so you lower this bottom half and you get slightly easier access to the boot, as well as somewhere handy to sit when you want to take your wellies or your boots off. Now when it's like that, you've got 818 litres of storage available, and actually it's very wide, it's very flat, and it's all carpeted nicely, so everything in there is going to be sat quite firmly. Now you can also extend that load area further by lowering the seats down, which is done handily by some switches at the side, so you don't have to fiddle with any latches to get those seats lowered down. It's a usable space, and again, the low height here means that loading heavier items in isn't going to be too much of a task. Now, Jaguar Land Rover offers the Range Rover with a variety of powertrain setups, including plug-in hybrids and standard petrols, and actually in a couple of years' time there's going to be a fully electric Range Rover. But the one we're in today, well, that uses a more typical standard diesel. It's a 3-litre twin turbocharged setup with mild hybrid assistance for some added efficiency. Now, thanks to just shy of 350 brake horsepower and 700 newton meters of torque, it's actually pretty punchy, and it'll do 0 to 60 in just over 5.5 seconds. So in terms of performance, it's definitely got it all there. When it comes to economy, Jaguar Land Rover say that you should be able to do around 35 mpg, and I reckon you might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of it on a longer journey, which is pretty good going for a car of this size. But what's it like to actually drive? Well, of course, there's that peerless view out of the front that you get with all Range Rovers, and that gives you loads of confidence. It definitely makes you feel quite separated from the road ahead. It's quiet, though these large wheels do generate quite a bit of road noise. However, even when you're driving it around town, like we are at the moment, it's not a difficult car to drive, and that's because the steering is actually relatively light, and because it's got 4-wheel steering, which helps to make the car more agile at slower speeds, it's not a tricky car to pilot around narrow roads. And actually, any amount of acceleration that you give in the Range Rover is accompanied by a really quality sounding noise. It's a very pleasant engine and it's very flexible too. Even around town, it's actually a good deal responsive. The gearbox that it's linked up to is very smooth and accurate. It's quite intelligent with its shifts too. The steering is actually very light for a car of this size, and though that could make you feel that it's not being awfully accurate, what it does is actually give the car a better sense of agility, and that's really useful if you are going to end up using your Range Rover around town. And let's be honest, a lot of Range Rovers end up around town or city centres. The only thing that the Range Rover seems to struggle with is slight low-speed road imperfections, and despite riding on air, that's something that doesn't tend to come through. Now, it could be because this car is fitted with 22-inch alloy wheels, which are quite massive. So if you are after the best possible ride quality, it might be better to go for a smaller alloy wheel size, which would really put a nice softer edge on that ride, particularly at lower speeds and when driving around town. This latest generation of Range Rover feels like a continuation of what is a very acclaimed lineage. It's just as comfortable as its predecessor, but it ties in some really excellent technology that takes forward this high-spec model into a new generation and future-proofs it so that it can go up against what is a very competitive segment. Though the Range Rover is offered with some efficient plug-in hybrid powertrains, this conventional diesel still feels like a very appealing prospect. That's because it gives it long-distance ability that people, well, that's what they want from a Range Rover. Combined with the new tech inside, it means this luxury SUV is still the one to beat. Thank you for watching this Motors.co.uk new car review on the Range Rover. If you have enjoyed this video, please remember to give us a like below and let us know what you think of this car in the comments section. And since you're here, please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk YouTube channel, hitting that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video.